What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here with your $1,400 third stimulus check update and third stimulus check package. First up in this video, we're going to go directly to the White House communications director, who is going to give us the latest details of the third stimulus check package that has now passed the U.S. House of Representatives and is now going to the Senate with the latest details on when we could expect that to pass. Remember, in this bill is $1,400 stimulus checks for adults, $1,400 stimulus checks for children, and $1,400 stimulus checks for adults and adult dependents, although those checks, similar to child stimulus checks, will go to the person who claims them as a dependent. So just keep that in mind. Also on garnishment and child support, and if you owe money to the IRS, taxes, anything like that, there is a provision in this bill, similar to the second stimulus check bill, that your check will not be taken for any garnishments, child support, you owe the IRS taxes, you owe the bank money, anything along those lines. Your check should not be taken for any garnishments in this third stimulus check package. In addition to that, we have an unemployment boost to $400 per week that will kick in mid-March when the current $300 per week ends, and that will be extended until August 29th. All of the unemployment programs are extended also. There's several different unemployment programs, PUA, PEUC, regular unemployment, and those are all extended also, along with a $400 per week boost starting in mid-March. It's currently at $300 per week. So they have kicked it up $100 extra per week to anybody who has lost their job during this pandemic or recently. As well as in this bill is $3,000 to $3,600 child stimulus checks. This is in addition to the $1,400. So you're looking at $1,400 plus $3,000 for children over the age of 6 through 17, and $3,600 for children under the age of 6. So a total of $5,000 for children under the age of 6. This is an increase of the child income tax credit. I know it's a mouthful, but the IRS is setting up a new program to pay you this money in the form of monthly payments starting a few months from now of $250 per month per child over the age of 6 and $300 per month for children under the age of 6. We also have over $30 billion for mortgage assistance, rental assistance, property tax assistance, and utility assistance that will be becoming available once they pass the third stimulus check package in the Senate. As well as there's all sorts of other like little things in there. We have $7,000 for funeral credits from the second stimulus package. It's going to be coming live here shortly. I will update you guys on that. As well as on the horizon, we have $10,000 or more of student loan forgiveness. We have the possible $200 per month of Social Security increases, as well as the next stimulus package coming out, the Build Back Better package. That will be between $2 and $3 trillion. So make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on updates. Hit the like button, and let's go directly to the White House communications director, on the details of the third stimulus check package passing and what to expect going forward.
Communications Director Kate Bedingfield. Kate, thank you very much for coming to the Sunday show.
Thanks for having me, Jonathan.
All right, the COVID relief bill, it's now headed over to the Senate. What are the prospects of that bill in the Senate? And more specifically, there have been complaints among Republicans in the Senate that the $1 trillion figure price tag is too high. Is the president ready to deal, maybe come down a little bit off that $1.9 trillion price tag to get it through the Senate for passage?
Well, Jonathan, the president has met with Republicans throughout this process. He hosted Republican senators in the Oval Office early on as we were beginning the work of getting this bill passed. He's open to hearing Republican ideas and thoughts and ideas on how we can move forward. What he's not willing to do is to bring down the magnitude of the package because he understands that it addresses the crises we're facing. You know, his question would be, which piece of this package do you want to cut? Do you want to cut the direct checks to families who need it the most? Do you want to cut the money to get schools reopened? Do you want to cut the money to get vaccines in the arms of Americans around the country? So he believes that this package is tailored to meet the critical needs that we're facing right now in this moment of crisis in this country. And he's not willing to compromise on the things that we need to get the virus under control and get the economy back on track. And, the latest public polling shows that 76% of Americans agree with him, including a majority of Republicans. So we're looking forward to the bill moving quickly through the Senate. On March 14th, we're going to hit the unemployment insurance cliff, and people who are currently utilizing unemployment insurance are going to see that unemployment insurance disappear if we don't get this bill passed. So there's urgency to moving this bill forward in the Senate.
Okay, one thing that happened with the COVID relief bill is that the Senate parliamentarians said that the $15 minimum wage increase had to come out. The president has said, the White House has said, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you're not going to challenge the parliamentarians' decision. But now we have a lot of proposals out there for raising the minimum wage. Senators Wyden and Sanders have a plan to impose tax penalties on corporations of a certain size that don't raise their minimum wage to $15 an hour. What is the White House's position on that particular proposal?
Well, the president was disappointed in the outcome from the parliamentarian. He obviously proposed including raising the minimum wage to $15 in the initial package because he wants to see it done. It's something he's supported for a long time. He believes that nobody in this country should work full time and live in poverty. So he wants to see the minimum wage increase to $15. He was disappointed in the parliamentarian's decision, but he respects that process. And you're right. We do not intend to work to try to overrule the parliamentarian. That's a major step. It would in and of itself require 50 votes. So that's not something we're looking at doing. However, we are going to work with the Senate to determine the best way forward on getting a minimum wage increase passed. We'll let the Senate and the Congress work through some of those details. But the president remains committed to getting a $15 minimum wage passed. And we look forward to working with the Congress to do it as quickly as possible.
Well, Kate, to that point, there are two proposals now already on the table. You have Senators Mitt Romney and Tom Cotton with a proposal to raise the minimum wage to $10 an hour by 2025 and connecting that to E-Verify. Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia wants to raise the minimum wage to $11 an hour. Given what you just said, are those two proposals just non-starters for the White House?
What I will say is President Biden believes the minimum wage should be $15. He believes that that should be the level across the country. So, I won't get ahead of the process. Obviously, this has to work its way through the Senate, and there will be discussions. There'll be negotiations. This is democracy in action. This is how the process works. So I won't get ahead of that process, but I will reiterate that President Biden is committed to raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour in this country.
So yeah, really at this point, the minimum wage provision is really kind of like the detail that's going to really matter. And they are going to pass this package one way or another in the Senate. The real question is going to be, are they going to have to take the minimum wage out completely and worry about that after this bill as a standalone bill? But they will not be able to pass that if they have to take it out as a standalone bill. They will not be able to pass it at $15 an hour. Just the votes are not there. What they could do if they have to take it out is they will probably be able to pass it at $10 or $11 an hour, which a lot of people think is okay. Some people think it's too low. I think that most people think that we need some type of minimum wage raise. It has not been raised since 2009. Of course, we know that some states, in fact, over 50% of the states, already have a higher minimum wage in some capacity. For example, we have Florida and Minnesota that have the ones that I know about that have $15 an hour minimum wage. I'm sure there's some other ones. But for example, Minnesota's does not go all the way to $15 an hour until 2024. They have a couple different special provisions there. And in Florida, it doesn't go to $15 an hour until 2026. So basically it goes up by $1 or $2 per year, per hour, per year. So, and that is how the $15 an hour minimum wage would be for this package. It gets there by the year 2025. As you can see here on the screen, it also includes youth wages and tipped wages, or restaurant servers mainly, will get there by 2026, 2027, will also be at the $15 an hour minimum wage. So that could dramatically change the way restaurant servers work, because if they're being paid the same amount, because 213, I actually used to be a server back in the day and I made 213 also, but you would get tips on top of that, and that would normally make you a pretty good wage. I wonder if things could change in the future if servers get $15 an hour. I wonder if the way tipping, the structure may change. I don't know if 20% tipping would still remain the norm. It would be very good for restaurant servers if it does, but I have a feeling that that might change in the future if that gets to that high of a rate. We'll have to see here. But as you can see, it does go up by about $1 or $2 per year up to 2025. But if we compare that to now, which is 725, as you can see here on the screen, that more than doubles the minimum wage in the course of 5 years. And remember, this is the federal minimum wage is the minimum that any state has to have. So every single state would have to abide by this law. We know that some states currently have higher minimum wages, but some of them are like in the $8 to $9 to $10 range. Some of them are $15, but they don't get there until 2026, like Florida. So they're basically still at the $9, $10 an hour minimum wage. And as we know, the cost of living is very different. I'm here in Northeast Ohio. If you live in LA or New York City, $15 an hour is not very much for a minimum wage job. If you live in rural Ohio or Kansas or Idaho or something like that, $15 an hour based on the cost of living is actually probably not that bad. But of course, you always have the opportunity to go and get a different job or anything, higher paying or something along those lines. But this is pretty much right now the one provision that has to be kind of finagled, if that's the best word, to decide how they're going to pass it. They're going to pass this stimulus check bill regardless. The question is, are they going to be able to include the minimum wage at $15 an hour? Are they going to have to negotiate it down to 10 to 11, pass it that way? Or are they going to have to take it out completely and then pass that as a standalone bill after that? If they do have to do that, I expect it will be the very next thing on the docket. But as I said, it will probably only be $10 or $11 an hour. We have a Republican counter proposal that is from Mitt Romney and Tom Cotton, Republican senators, which you would need 10 Republican senator votes to pass a standalone bill. If it has to come out, you would need 60 votes to do that. So you would need at least 10 Republican senators, and that would probably mean $10 an hour minimum wage, maybe 11 at the most. If you know anything about this show, you've been watching, the Republicans are not for this bill at all. Not a single Republican voted yes when this bill passed the House, which was yesterday morning at 2 a.m. in the morning. So it's only been one day since they passed it in the U.S. House of Representatives. As you know, it's now at the Senate, and then they are basically figuring out how they're going to pass this in the Senate. If they do amend the bill in the Senate, which I will be keeping you updated on all these details as we learn about them, that basically if they amend it in the Senate, they'll vote on it and pass on it. That's like kind of the major thing there. Because once they pass it in the Senate, if they amend the bill, if they change the bill, it has to go back to the House to be revoted on because it's a different bill now. It's slightly different. But don't worry about that at all. I see some people commenting about that. That's not a concern at all, because literally we've seen this in the past. The House will literally vote on it the same day or the very next day. So you're only really looking at probably a delay of like 12 hours. By that point, all the hard work is done. The bill's written, it's signed, it's approved on the committee level, they've signed it in the Senate, and all the House has to do is vote on it. You'll see the exact same vote that you've seen this time around. You actually might gain some votes if they have to reduce the minimum wage or something like that. So, because that will possibly make even more people support it. So, really, the minimum wage is kind of the only contention point right here. But of course, we've seen 0 Republicans in the House of Representatives vote yes on this. And that is exactly what I'm expecting from the Senate. I don't expect a single Republican to vote on this bill at all. Luckily, they're passing this bill through the reconciliation process, which means you only need 51 votes. So 50 Democrats say yes, 50 Republicans say no. Then it goes to a tiebreaker vote, which is the Vice President Kamala Harris. So it's razor tight margins. They need every single Democrat to say yes in the Senate. So that's why it's so important, this minimum wage thing, because if we get a single Democrat in the Senate and there's 2 or 3 that don't like the $15 an hour minimum wage, then they're going to have to amend the bill and probably reduce the minimum wage to get those votes. Just basically go to, Joe Manchin and say, okay, you voted no, or you're going to vote no. I mean, honestly, they could probably just do this now ahead of time. They could just go over to his office and say, are you going to vote yes, or are you going to vote no? Just tell us right now. And if he says no, then they're basically going to have a conversation with him and say, well, what would you vote yes to? Would you vote yes to $11 an hour minimum wage? And if he says yes, because he already knows, he's already said that he is in for $11 an hour in West Virginia, then they might just simply have to make an amendment and make the compromise, and it's still an increase from $7.25 to $11 an hour, and then they get all their votes. If Joe Manchin says he's not going to vote for minimum wage at all, well, he wouldn't do that because he's for $11 an hour. So you see where the compromise comes in. But if for some reason, worst case scenario, they have to take the minimum wage out of the bill completely, we'll get a lot of people that aren't happy about that from the Democratic side. I mean, a lot of people in general would be unhappy too, but the Republicans in Congress at least would all be happy for some reason. But they'll have to pass that later on, which they'll probably do right after this, but it will never fly at $15 an hour. It'll be $10 to $11 an hour at max if they have to do a standalone bill. We're going to get all those details here literally within like the next 24 hours, so I will keep you updated. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is trying to put pressure on Republicans, saying that basically Republicans' conspiracy theories are more important than the American people. Last night, they voted against providing aid for vaccines, schools, family, and children. So whose interests are they serving? She says, as you can see here on this graph, 76% of Americans, including 60% of Republicans, not Republicans in Congress, but average everyday American people, 76% total of Americans are in support of this third stimulus check package, and 60% of Republican people are, yet 0 Republicans in the House of Representatives voted yes for it. So there is a little bit of a disconnect, as polling shows that 60% of Republicans, people, are in favor of, you see 34% are strongly support it and 26% somewhat support it. Basically, they're in favor of it. 10% don't even know. So there's only about 30% of Republicans, people, that don't support this package, but yet not a single Republican U.S. House of Representative member has voted yes for this package. In comparison to Democrats, we have 70% of Democratic people that strongly support it and 19% that somewhat support it, which is 89% of Republican people support this third stimulus check package. I mean, basically, we have the stimulus checks in there. We have the unemployment extension. We have more money for mortgage and rental assistance, utility assistance, and property tax assistance. And we also have those child stimulus checks of $3,000 to $3,600, which the White House says will bring 54% of children out of childhood poverty. And that is just with a 1-year extension of that. They actually could increase the extension of that for more years after this, after they pass this package. Later on in the year, I expect they'll be voting on it again to increase it and have that extension go more than 1 year. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet. It's completely free, so you don't miss out on new videos. New videos come out every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., 8 p.m., and 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will have another video for you guys in a few hours at 11 p.m. Eastern, which is 8 p.m. West Coast time. You won't get a notification for that, so you just got to remember to jump on YouTube and see if it's on your homepage. If not, search It's Jimmy for the latest video at 11 p.m. Eastern Time tonight. You can click this top video here to watch my newest stimulus check video next. And this video teaches you how to start your own business selling products on Amazon FBA. I have dozens of students that have replaced their 9-to-5 income selling products on Amazon, and I teach them how to do that. Click on one of those videos to watch them next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.